Hi, this is Nathan Yeworth. We're going to be going over homework 2 from IST 852 for Penn State's World Campus. We're going to be going over some explanations for databases to include programs such as Clips, Python, and also going over DB Browser for SQLite. First, what we're going to do is we are going to create a new database here. And what we're going to do is we're going to name it insurance here. Okay, you can see we have nothing loaded up in here. Fortunately, we do have some preloaded commands here for our database here. So we're going to cancel this. And what we're going to do is we're going to scroll over here to the Execute SQL tab. Basically, it's going to have it ready to go. And you can see here we're going to be pulling from these commands here. We're going to create tables here such as cars, cities, and contracts. So we'll highlight all of this, copy that, paste it in here, and as you can see right here, top to bottom. Okay, looks like all the syntaxes so far are good to go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and we're going to run that here with this play button. Okay, if we go down here to the bottom, we have query executed successfully. And what we can do now is, if we go over here to our database structure, we can see that we have a couple of tables that are created here. Starting up here at the top, we have cars, cities, and contracts. If we drill down here into the cars table, we can see we have the identity of the car. If you can see right here, there's a little key. That's for the primary key. We also have make, model, displacement, power, luxury. We also created the cities table. Those are the other primary key for identity of the city. We also have the population. Another primary key here for contracts. We have the customer name, customer birth date, gender, city, car identity, date, class, and max refund. You can also see here that we have different settings here for the data that we're going to be putting in here. Here's a variable character here, max of 10, this is 20, and this is 50. Here we have for numbers, more characters here. And if we scroll over here for our schema, you can also see basically what we're going to be looking for within the schema. If we pop back over here to the browse data, you can see there's nothing populated in here right now. For example, under cars, no records have been created just yet. That's going to happen in a moment. And same thing here if we go down to cities and also for contracts, nothing just yet. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to input some records into these databases now that we have the database structure built. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to fire one of these off, have it ready. And again, this is preloaded from the homework here. These are going to be our insert statements. Basically, we have multiple records that we're inputting here for cars. And we only have about 5 records here that we're inputting here for cities. And then for contracts, it looks like we have about 4 right there. So we're just going to grab all of this, copy that, paste it in here. And you can actually see as we're going in here, for example, what we're getting ready to insert here in the cars table, for example. Basically, we have the ID over here in this column, followed by the make, Mercedes, Opel, etc. Then we have the model. And then I believe the remaining information. Okay, we have, looks like it's going to be displacement. And then the power, and then whether or not it's a luxury car. And basically the remaining records that we're going to be putting in here follow the pre-formatted schema that we've built before. For example, if we look at cities, we have the actual name of the city and the population. And then when we go down to contracts, several different variables that we're going to be accounting for here, such as the number, the name of the individual, the birth date, what their gender is, the city that they're in, more IDs, basically when their contract date was, more identification, and then whether or not a refund is owed to them. Okay, so this is ready to fire off. Okay, scroll down the bottom here, query executed successfully. And so now when we go over here to browse data, we should actually see the list populated here. Currently right now it's displaying 1 through 23 of the records for a total of 28. So quite a bit fired off here for the, or populated for the cars table. However, when we go down to cities, just about 5 here, and contracts I believe has fewer at just 4. But again, once we scroll over and scroll through this, we can see that it populated in the areas that we wanted it to. And database structure again. Again, ready for more records if we need it. But as right now, this database has been populated. Okay, so now that we've populated our database with our records, what we want to do is apply some rules. In order to do that, what we're going to use is the Clips program, and to look at the rules that we're going to be applying to this, we can just look at this notepad here that actually has the rules set up. And what we do is first define the template, and you can see this is going to be for the structure of the contract that we're building. The slots that we're going to be populating with are pulling from the tables that we built before. So this is contract ID. If it's luxury, if it's a luxury car, the power to displacement, new customer, contract class, max refund if owed, driver age, driver gender, driver city, base price, final price, and whether or not the bonus is going to be applied anymore. Okay, first rule over here is going to be based off the city population, and this has the highest salience here of 20. So this should fire off first, and this is going to be the rule for the city population. And here is our if statement in here, and if it basically hits these variables, then this will modify that contract. So you can see right here, if no more bonus is false, the driver city population, if we drill down here, is going to be, looks like, less than 100,000, then the contract is going to be modified to be 0.65 of the base price, and then no more bonus will be applied. The second rule over here is going to be for the final price to the base price. Salience is lower here, 15. This will fire off second. And if no more bonus is false, the base price you can see here is compared to the other base price, the variable base price here, price was 0, then the contract will be modified for the final price versus the variable base price. Next, we're going to look here at the normal bonus rules here, and this is for the driver's age. If they are 26 years, more than 26 years old, they'll get a bonus of 10% on the final price. Salience here is lower than the previous two at 10. If no more bonus is false and the driver's age is, this is going to be greater than 26. Again, here's the final price comparing between the two. And then, therefore, the modify is going to be 0.9% of the final price. The next rule is going to be if a woman on a car of less than a 1.3 liter displacement, they get a 5% bonus here. And you can see the variables that they're going to be looking for, such as no more bonus, the gender, the power displacement, and then it will be modified. It'll be 0.95 of the final price. and then it will not be reevaluated. New customers, so those with less than 30 days, have a special $50 United States dollar discount. You can see what they're looking for here. Again, this one is going to fire off with a science of 10, just as if the woman with less than 1.3 power displacement rule fires. Here are the variables for this. Again, if no more bonus is false, new customer is true, it's going to modify and basically get a $50 discount. And now we have, on the flip side of things, instead of the bonuses, we have the extra cost rules, which can apply to luxury vehicles here. Luxury cars will pay an extra 10% on the calculated price. Here's our if and then statement. Basically, this one has the lowest science at 5. If it is, in fact, a luxury car, what will happen is the final price is going to be multiplied by 1.1, so therefore we're adding 10%. And after we've determined car luxury false, don't reevaluate. Then we have powerful cars. We'll pay an extra $100 on the calculated price. Again, saying it's a 5. Car power, if it is greater than 100, what we're going to do is we're going to modify it to basically apply $100 extra here. Okay, now that we've seen that, the breakdown of the rules, what we're going to do is we're going to load them here. And so, as you can see here, we go to homework 2. Here's our insurance project. And here is our constructs.clp. Modify the name as requested by the homework. Open that up. And execution, we're going to run that. Okay, now that we've populated the database and went over the rules for Eclipse, and because the video is taking a little bit longer than initially thought, what we're going to do is we're just going to run through the understanding here of where Python comes in. Essentially, Python is going to be used to go ahead and crunch the calculations from the database so we can find out what things are going to cost, essentially. And then at the end, it will spit out the facts that we can apply through clips to get everything applied. So going through here, what we're going to do is we're going to define the location of the database. As you can see right up in here, it had the location of the default file location, but we're going to change it to ours. So it's going to be drilled down into that project folder that we pointed to earlier. And then what it's going to do is it's going to connect to the database and pull the records from that complete view. Then we're going to see it's just going to keep going further down just to fetch the information. It's going to calculate the base price using the calculations that we have in here. Then it's going to go ahead and it's going to go and look at the other constraints that we applied before, such as driver age, and to recode some of the variables. You can see is going from what the codes are going to equal for the genders, males for or M for males, and so on and so forth. Then of course we're going to go and looking furthermore at the columns there, such as the base price, the new customer, driver age, and continue to just drill further down, and then it's gonna give us the correct format in here, and then we're gonna go at the very end. It's going to give us the files that we need. What we're gonna do is we're gonna load the facts.txt to Eclipse to run the rules. It's going to output the facts of a different file, which we have changed to facts_edited.txt, and putting that into the right project directory. We have those facts loaded and then saved. And then what we're going to do is we're going to import the facts_edit.txt to Python to review the results. And then we'll check on the final results. Going through scale of 1 to 10, SQL, or for the DB browser, SQL Lite, the comfort level on that It's pretty straightforward. I'd probably give it 8 or a 9. Clips for the rule-based, just defining those rule sets. I would probably give that a 7 or 8, just because this class, especially with the earlier weeks, I was able to practice more so with the DB browser program, more so than the clips in the middle of the course. That the Python, probably have the least comfort with that. Probably scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give that a 4 or a 5. I like that the language is pretty straightforward, and then we can use it to leverage calculating the numbers. How I'm going to use the 3 programs in the upcoming project be very straightforward. I can see heavy use definitely on the DB browser and also the Python. Of course, the DB browser and the clips, just to populate the databases that we're going to use, and also to define the rules and clips. And of course, we're going to have to use Python to get the calculations crunched. I also see we're also going to be using ER diagrams to define our company as well, before we start digging into the actual calculations and populating the databases. Overall, this was a good homework assignment, very eye-opening in terms of bringing it all together and finding out how DB browser, clips, and Python fit in together.